Hi guys, Haley of Mothchild Cosplay here, and today we're going to be working on a wolf headdress. So first things first, credit where credit is due. This pattern is from Casual Cosplay. I bought it off their Etsy store. I believe it was $5 when I got it, but this was a while ago. Their prices may have changed. I'm going to have a link to that in my description. This is technically a mask pattern, but I don't actually need all of the pieces. The pieces that I don't need, there's only like 2 of them. And it is like the bottom part of the jaw. So I went ahead and cut all my pieces out of the fabric and then moved to drawing everything onto foam. You're gonna see in a second here, I referenced the pattern. It's really important, especially when you're working with a pattern that you yourself didn't make, that you take a look at all the registration marks and all of the instructions and that you cut everything out exactly as written. That person has made that pattern, they've worked with it before. They know better than you would about how to put it together. And yeah, here we go. These instructions were awesome, incredible, really, really clear, super handy to have on hand. Is that why they call it handy? Because you have it on hand? Anyway, cut it out. I only used 4mm EVA foam. This is basically just a base and it holds its shape super duper well. It doesn't need to be anything super thick or dense. This is just like sort of standard gray EVA foam from TNT Cosplay Supply. I think I have an affiliate code with them. I don't know. I'll have to dig around, but if I do, it'll be in the description of this video. So yes, as you can see here, there are some pieces of this pattern that have to be cut out, just like a normal 90-degree blade. And then there are pieces that need a bit of an angle. Once again, the pattern is super duper clearly marked, and so are the instructions. This was honestly super great and straightforward to work with. Also, for those of you that don't know, I've worked with this pattern before, and this is my second wolf headdress. I made one back in, oh my god, like 2018 for a merc wolf costume, and people really liked it, and I always said that I would make a video on it, and it's been almost 4 years, and here we are. Wild that it's been 4 years. Anyway, I put the pieces together per the instructions using contact cement. This is just barge. I love barge. Barge is so good, and that foam, the foam will rip before barge gives out. It's such a strong adhesive. Because this pattern is like kind of fiddly and complicated, once again, I referenced the instructions, and the instructions even had instructions on how to like what order to glue everything in, which is super duper handy. And because like this thing is super weird, I didn't want to mess it up, and you know, instead of just winging it, I wanted to follow the instructions, which is interesting because I feel like foam work tends to be a lot simpler when it comes to putting things like pieces together than sewing. But I never ever reference my pattern instructions for sewing. I only ever look at the instructions for things when it comes to foam. Yeah. Oh, also, if you're wondering why you have to cut things at certain angles, inwards or outwards at an angle, it's because it'll absolutely change the way that the foam adheres to itself and the shape that it makes. So here you can see these were 2 angled edges by the eyes, and I glued them together, and it kind of gave like a really cool concave sort of look and angled out the eyes and created a cheekbone sort of effect. Here I'm putting on that little, the little nose snoot thing, gluing it on nice. What isn't shown in this, and I'm like actually kind of really surprised that it was so much of this time of putting this together, was about 30 minutes of me like putting glue on the pieces and then walking away for 3 to 5 minutes while it dried. Like you never notice how much time that takes in your crafting process until you like start to record it. Oh, also this piece, there were definitely like a lot of registration marks that I didn't transfer over to my foam. I'm such a naughty foam maker, and I hardly ever put my registration marks on it. You totally should do as I say, not as I do. Thanks, y'all. So what I tend to do if there aren't registration marks, and you'll see it in a couple of places, is I will like put one edge and then, one corner of the piece and then the other corner of the piece. Here we go, you'll see it right here. So like edge, and then I kind of work my way from both sides equally, so that way No particular one side is getting stretched more than the other. Ooh, this is such an awful, awful angle. You can't even see what's happening. But I'm gluing like the cheeks onto the forehead piece, and yeah, it kind of allows you to control like where any weird extra pulling or material is gonna go. This is the last piece that kind of pulls everything together. It's the nose. I do kind of wish that I had sort of angled where the nose meets the like side of the face more. I feel like it's pretty straight up and down, and I think a little bit more of an angle would really give it a bit more of life. Oh, so we're moving on. That was quick. So once you've cut all your foam pieces out, you're actually going to basically take your pattern and transfer it all over to fabric of your choice. And by fabric of your choice, I do mean faux fur. So my pattern pieces are going to look kind of funky. I took some time and I actually wanted like a really interesting like split of all of the fur and like the markings and stuff that I wanted to do. So I took my I took my foam head and I drew out the design that I wanted, and then I transferred that over to my pattern and then fiddled with all my pattern pieces so that way I could get everything exactly, you know, how I needed it. If you're ever working with faux fabric, oh my God, faux fabric. If you're ever working with faux fur and it's your first time, hey, heads up, one of the best tips that I ever learned in my entire life is to cut out your pieces with an X-Acto knife and to do it from the back. It's such a simple thing, and like it's gonna change your mind. It's gonna change your life. It's such a simple thing, but it really helps make sure that there's no like crazy flyaway hairs, because if you cut them out with just scissors, then like you're cutting the fur on the fabric, and it's just, you're gonna have so much runoff and you're gonna have to vacuum so much. After my pieces were all cut out from my faux fur, I very professionally, very particularly started gluing that all with hot glue, like right onto the foam head. This is basically like making a fursuit, but like only one part of a fursuit. And, you know, honestly, I kind of get why people are making jokes about me being a furry, because like I get it. It makes sense. I'm not, and then nothing against furries. Like, if that's what you want to do, then like live your life. But that's, you know, this is it. This is as close as I get to being a furry. It's like this and like the toe paws that I made for the Merc Wolf costume. Oh my God, I'm a furry. And oh God, I want to do a cat girl at LARP. Fuck, dude, am I a furry? Am I a furry? I don't think so. I just like only had like a little bit of an anthropomorphized like wolf persona in middle school, but like it was only like a little bit, you know? And it was totally like black wolf with red fur tips and red glowing eyes, because I was like a little goth kid wannabe in middle school. Anyway, keep hot gluing down. You're gonna see I have like 3 or 4 different colors of faux fur, because I really wanted to add like dimension to this, and I really tried like super hard to make it look real, which is kind of goofy because this pattern, like it's such a specific aesthetic that you're getting with this pattern, and it's kind of like cartoony, kind of over the top, which is really great for like my Merc Wolf, for example, where like the original inspiration for the design was cartoony and over the top. I mean, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't recommend this for a more super realistic wolf head, but like, I feel like there might be other patterns that might give you a better result than this one, but this pattern really does kick ass. Like, I love this pattern. Like, this is my second time using it, and I've got a friend who made a mask with the same pattern out of leather, and it looks super cool. Like, there's so many different things that you can do with this pattern. It's so versatile. But like with any pattern, you know its limits, and like know your limits, and like don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to fry. Don't be afraid to try new things. My wolf had a bald spot. I don't know exactly how that happened, but I added in a little stripe of a different color of fur, and I kind of wish that I hadn't, because I feel like it's super obvious now looking back, but like, hey, it's gonna happen. Oh, also, we are going to jump very soon past a piece of this making of that I did not record. We're gonna jump and you're gonna see it. I don't know how to describe it. There's like these tendril fur things that kind of hang off the back of the wolf. And those are basically teardrop shaped pieces of faux fur, like super long, super wide, that I literally like hot glued into a tube and then sewed on. Oh, hey, here are the ears. And sewed on to the back of the headdress. Like, that is the shaping. If you're ever wondering about those like fur tendrily things on the back of my Merc Wolf headdress, like that is what it is. It's just faux fur I think on that one I actually sewed it up because I was like, hot glue is for suckers. And now here I am hot gluing everything. Hot glue is for winners. Oh, let me explain really quick why I think hot glue is the best glue for this job. Especially like if you're very aware and you're quick and don't leave your costumes in a hot car. So basically, I don't know about you guys' experience with hot glue, but when I have ever hot glued foam together, like foam to foam, the foam will rip before the hot glue let go. Like that hot glue was there. I really feel like the hot glue, oh, also I had to shave the fur down after I put it on. This took way too long and I looked like I was a fucking dog groomer for 3 days. Like all of my clothes were covered in fur. So the hot glue, like, to me, I think it basically welds the foam together and melts the pieces to the hot glue and then to each other. Following that, if you've ever gotten like hot glue, like liquid hot glue on your clothes and then like let it cool down, that stuff gets like ingrained. That's in those fibers forever. It's not coming out. So like genuinely adhering fabric to hot, like, oh my God, fabric to hot glue. Adhering fabric to foam, I think hot glue is like the way to go. It's going to take a lot for those pieces to separate, especially if you like really slather down hot glue on that foam and then take your fabric and while it's hot, of course, use some sort of hand protection, like push it into the hot glue to where you can kind of see the hot glue through the fabric. Like that shit is going to stay. It's not gonna move. Also, I really made sure that I was carving out the eye holes with my shaver. This is just literally like a hair shaver. Super duper easy. But I wanted to make sure that the eyeballs that I glued in would really pop. And by the way, oh, here we go. Here are the ears. These ears were made separately. As you saw, it's literally just 1mm foam with like fur glued down and then shaved down. They look really cool. They were literally sewn on to the headdress, like through the foam, through the hot glue, through the fur. They're pretty sturdy, pretty stable. It's the exact same way that my ears were sewn down to my other Merc Wolf. And yeah, here you go. You can see I'm doing like these really big, like wide stitches. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be clean because you've got all of this fur everywhere. Like no one's gonna see it. They're not gonna know. Yes. Oh, I was gonna say really quick, with the eyes are resin cast. So like I said, I made this I made a headdress already like years ago. And at the time I sculpted eyes and a nose actually out of Sculpey and then made a mold out of it because I had a feeling that I would like need to do more of these. I don't know why, because it's been 4 years and this is the only other one that I've made. But that was kind of what went on through my brain and it came in super handy and the mold definitely disintegrated as I pulled this pull of the eyes out. Like that mold is garbage now. It was, you know what, it did its job. I respect it because it was like $20 molding and casting supplies from Michael's and it really held in. The eyeball, because at this point I was rushing. I made this headdress in I think about 3 days. This was just glued in with hot glue and you can see it was just resin cast. And then somewhere along the way I was like, you know what's really gonna be cool? We're not there yet, so I'm trying to like stall. But like it's gonna be like super duper like fucking sick when I hand this over like at LARP to this person that's getting this headdress. It's gonna be fucking wicked if this shit lit up, right? Like, are you kidding? So I took a little LED string and I made a little pocket for the battery to go into. I'm really weird. I always like batteries to be accessible so you can change them and stuff. I know like sometimes I see people that just like hot glue the battery packs down and I'm like, homie, what are you gonna do? But I made sure the battery could like slip inside there and it could. So I took the lights and I like rolled them up and glued them behind the eyes and then put EVA foam behind the eyes to ensure that it wouldn't like glow underneath as much. Yeah. From there, the base of this headdress is actually like to keep it on your noggin. It's attached to a baseball cap. Like this was a $5 baseball cap from Michael's. Actually, I think it was probably 10 because I think this was a stupid cricket hat. Yeah, it was because they don't just sell like cheap, ugly, black. No, they're not ugly. Just like cheap black baseball caps anymore. Like I was searching all through when I was like, hey, I got any other baseball caps? And they were like, no, it's just these cricket ones. And I was like, that's so stupid. I'm paying $6 more for a brand name. Anyway, you can see those little things falling off. Those are the tendrils that I was talking about. But once I sewed the headband on and glued the nose on, we were done. And this was it. And this thing looks really nice, especially for like a little 3-day build. This is for my friend's LARP character. And I think this thing is sick as hell. So thanks, bye, love y'all.